back to my channel once again. In this video, I'm going to be commenting on this Meghan and Harry Netflix docu-series. They've just released the first episode today, and no, I haven't seen all 3 hours, just seen snippets about it, read about it. I'm not sure I can make myself sit through it. As I've often said, they're a topic that bores me to tears, but they are newsworthy. And as a commentator, it's really almost unavoidable commenting on them. And I've said several times that they are symptomatic of a broader societal malaise. Obviously, not everybody suffers from this, but it really was vile. But all right, start with a few disclaimers. Yes, of course, I feel sorry for Prince Harry. His mother died in a car crash when he was 12. That must be horrific. And his parents had the messiest divorce of all time. I mean, maybe blame them, actually. I mean, particularly his dad for that. Okay, but to some extent the media, yes. And there are many, many journalists, the media. They're not all bad. How many journalists are there in the United Kingdom? Tens of thousands? Are they all evil? Why did he deal with any of them if that was the case? Because it's hard to cast your mind back to before he met Meghan, about 6 years ago, when he had a relationship with the media. It was characterized by cordiality. How well he knew the habits of the reptiles, meet them in the pub and pick up the bar tab. So he had this fawning media. His public relations team had a very easy time. He was the wild child, but you know, let him was without sin cast the first stone, because he's beaten up journalists. If he wasn't royal, he'd be done for assault, punching people for doing their job, taking a photo of him, which they're allowed to do. Anybody's allowed to take anybody's photo in a public place, you know, and that's the deal. And all right, he's not a volunteer member of the House of Windsor. He was born into it. He could abdicate all titles and get out of it, but no. He's trying to have his cake and eat it. He wants to be called Prince and so on. He's agreed not to style himself Your Royal Highness, but you can't have it both ways, half in and half out. You could just go off into obscurity. And it really is sickeningly hypocritical and completely imbecilic to complain about media intrusion and then go on the media. Let us forget you. Just never show your face in public again. Never releasing any public statements that you wouldn't be newsworthy. There'd be nothing to report. We'd move on. There are members of the royal family, admittedly a bit further down the line of succession, which is not mentioned in the media. I bumped into Peter Phillips in London a few years ago. Scarcely ever mentioned and doesn't particularly call publicity. You could just get on with your life. Anyway. So, and it's true that on the blogosphere there were some racist comments against Meghan, and of course that's despicable. No one should be subjected to racialist abuse online or in any other forum. But this whole thing was mostly characterized by mawkish self-pity. It's navel-gazing. They are self-obsessed, these two. And they talk about bigger issues, but only when that's really blowing their own trumpet. They're just Pharisees. Oh, look at us, we care about charity. Why don't you give some of your own money to charity then? Why don't you have some refugees living in your own mansion in Montecito? You've got enough bedrooms, but they don't actually do anything for the needy. It's just despicable. And think about the hundreds of people who get killed in Ukraine every single day, or people drowning as they try and cross seas because they're refugees or whatever, or children who are dying avoidably of diseases because they don't have enough medicine or whatever. And but these two could only feel sorry for themselves. I mean, honestly, life's not that bad. These are two of the most privileged people in the world. They complain about privilege. One thinks what that is, privileges, private laws, which is precisely what the royal family has. They got this taxpayers' money, so people on minimum wage have to subsidise them. They get all this unearned adulation. They also get access. They get to be on the red carpet. They get front row seats at the hottest show in town. Now, Meghan Markle is clearly an attention addict. Now, attention seeking is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm an attention seeker to an extent, without which there would really be no media, no entertainment, no arts, and so on. So within reasonable limits, it can be a healthy thing. But these two multimillionaires are not helping those who are penurious. And they say that there's institutional racism in the royal family. So why'd you marry into it then and endorse it? And the royal family made money from the slave trade, which is true. King James II was president of the Royal African Company, and its stock and trade was our own species. But some of that royal money went to you, Meghan. So don't touch it if it's blood-soaked. Or you could give it to people who are descendants of those who were enslaved, poorer people, not you, not a multimillionairess. If colonialism was so evil, wasn't fighting in Afghanistan neo-colonial? I mean, tripping human rights, particularly to women in Afghanistan, literacy development. I mean, so evil to try and save the Afghans. Wasn't it, Harry? I mean, are you evil for being a neo-imperialist? So make your mind up. I mean, this guy has no idea. He's just so imbecilic. A guy got like a D and an E in his A-levels, and his art teacher cheated And why on earth was he not disqualified from all his exams? Because she recorded a sound recorded that him saying, yeah, you're going to do the whole coursework for me. And there's a court case when she'd been sacked from Eton and she played that in court. So it's staggering what he was got away with because of his royal privilege. Then there's such self-aggrandizement for him. How does he have these delusions saying it's his duty to call out corruption and exploitation? All right, anybody's entitled to denounce corruption and exploitation, but isn't he exploiting his own position as a member of the royal family because it's given him a platform he otherwise wouldn't have? Why is he on a pedestal as some guy who, scarcely got at any A levels and was an army officer for a few years, and apart from that hadn't worked for about 10 years? It's preposterous. He's exploiting his position. Why would anyone pay any heed to what he's got to say? And he's now Chief Impact Officer. What is that? I always think any job title more than 3 words is absolute nonsense. If he weren't royal, who on earth would give him such a high-profile job? So Meghan has said previously that she was warned by her friends that though Harry was fabulous, the London media would savage her. And yes, she claims to have fallen victim to the wolf pack. And if they really want privacy, stop letting us into your life. Stop showing your house. Oh, no, you can't know anything about our child. But then they show their child there. They're just milking it just to make money. I mean, they really are sick. And she describes meeting Kate Middleton for the first time and hugging her straight away, which to Kate came across as disingenuous. And because it is. I've only just met you. I mean, I'm not your friend. We might come to like each other, but don't impose this on me. I'm deeply uncomfortable because Kate is for real. Unlike Meghan, who's completely false and two-faced. She's just disgusting. Anyway, you saw footage of a mock bow to the Queen when they first met. She compared the whole thing to medieval times. An American restaurant with jousting and such very odd. Well, if it's so unacceptable to you, don't join. But the unacceptability of it was not so severe that she didn't want this golden opportunity to have her name written in the stars to in 2018 be the most Googled person on the planet. So, the targets didn't come bigger than him. Wow, she really was being so narcissistic, so megalomaniac. I was about to say megalomaniacal. So yeah, when she met Her Royal Highness Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. She was going to have to adjust, complaining she'd never any lessons to do with this and that. But at the same time, Meghan Markle was always whining that, she was bossed around and not allowed to do this and that. Well, you can't have it both ways. Either you want the guidance or you don't. If you get guidance, you say that's outrageous. If you don't get it, you're saying you're not being helped. Make your mind up. The royal family, they're damned are the damned. So as these two think they're the biggest victims in the world, it really is loathsome. There's no family solidarity. They're total backstabbers. Remember how they were publishing all this stuff, really spewing bile, and just the toxicity of them is staggering. Really trying to poison the atmosphere. Yeah. Every family would like its dirty linen washed in private. How would you feel if members of your family were going on the media and shouting this on the rooftops, the most damaging things they could possibly think of? And it was just when Prince Philip was dying, just when the Queen was dying, so she's loyal to the Queen. Prince Charles, as he then was, we held out the olive branch. King Charles said how they're much loved members of the family, but no, they don't tone down their wacko attackos. They are just so vindictive, constantly defaming the royal family. I would think that some of this is libelous. So they're always trying to traduce the reputation of the royal family. They're calumniating them as racists without naming the individual one, and therefore suspicion falls on more people. Because if you name that individual, he or she could fight back and could take legal action against them. So these two are completely cowardly. As I've often said about Harry, the Taliban got his ginger nuts back in Afghanistan. So I say remove their titles. I've been campaigning this for years. They say he can't be king, he's fifth in the line. He could be king. If Prince William and his children die in a plane crash, then Harry would be king. So we've got to obviate that horrendous scenario. It would just be unconscionable. He's then so sense of duty, he should only be allowed back into Britain via Traitors' Gate. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.